You're listening to the Live Free podcast. I'm your host, Christine, certified life coach, pain to power mentor, and creator of Embody You Mindset Mastery School. I'm here today to discuss living life after disease, disaster, or adversity, to discuss living life fully once again, a life of hope, peace, and resiliency, a life fully embodied. I utilize the lessons that I learned going through not one, but two primary cancers. I'm here today to guide you to the life of your dreams, turn your pain into power, and lead you back to yourself. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Live Free podcast. So I wanted to start off today's episode with just letting you know that enrollment for the Embody You Mindset Mastery Mind, Body, Soul course, the fully integrative course, my big one, is coming out here. It is already on the sales page, although you are the absolute first person to find out because I have not told anyone else yet until just now that it is on the sales page for early bird pricing, and the price will slowly be going up after February the 15th. So you have a good period of time to jump in at the early bird price if you are interested and wanting to join me. So if you're listening to this in real time, you have till February 15th of 2022 to pop in to the course at the early bird pricing. Okay, so let's talk about the subject that I would like to talk about today, which is the allowing of enjoyment and pleasure and fun. This is a lost art, my friends. We are good at binge watching Netflix, and we are good at drinking to forget the week or whatever, but we are not good at intentional play, pleasure, and enjoyment. That is just not a place that we are comfortable as human beings, and I would like to see some change in that way. And I'm not talking about just enjoyment. I'm talking about creativity. I'm talking about allowing yourself to start a business. I'm talking about allowing yourself to pop onto a podcast if somebody asks you to, or to join an event where you might have to speak or something like that. And there is this holding back that we do. And I want to talk a little bit about why it is that we do it. We hold back from our truth, our authenticity, our fun, our pleasure, and our play, because we have this belief that if we let ourselves go, that we will lose focus, that we will no longer make smart, responsible decisions. We'll no longer be a responsible adult. And I think this stems back to very well-intentioned parenting from our parents who said, you're a big girl now, or a big, whatever, you're a big kid now, and it's time for you to start acting like one, and all of these sorts of things, right? Very well-intentioned parenting. But I think that it caused a little bit of a rift for us in the sense that we were not authentic anymore. We were not allowing that creative flow to come through us anymore because, we needed to be adults now. And I think that is such a shame, right? And then the other thing that causes us to hold back from that burning brightly, that enjoyment, that creativity, I think is this sense of community. We want to continue to be part of something. So we don't want to show up big, because if we show up big, then the community will notice. They may see that, that you are showing up big, and we're so scared that we'll come off as boastful or braggy or too ethereal or too loud or too much, too this, too that. And so then we hold ourselves back from fun, from pleasure, from letting go. And that's what I want this episode to be all about, is just letting go. Just put down your I'm a responsible adult staff and let go. Enjoy, dance freely, be silly, go out, play on that snow hill if you're from freezing cold Canada, there's snow in a few places, but definitely Canada. Play on that snow hill, even though you're an adult and somebody may see. Watch that Disney movie because you love Disney movies, and that's just fun. Color a book. And, it's interesting because as I say, color a book, I'm realizing, there's these books that the adult coloring books that were all the rage for a period of time. And the reason that they took off was because adults would love to color. We would love to color. We used to love to color when we were kids, for example. But then these really intricate, really difficult books came out with all of this, all of these multiple lines and intricate designs and those sorts of things. And it wasn't fun. So it fizzled. They were so serious. You weren't able to just let go and enjoy and just color for the fun of it. So you were, that fizzled over time. And so what I'm talking about really is, you don't need an adult coloring book to color. You could just color. That would be appropriate. But it's because somebody said adult that you're like, oh, well, it's an adult coloring book, so it's okay. Or, I'm sure some of you are shaking your head being like, oh yeah, I totally bought one of them. You know what I mean? I never used it. And if you didn't use it, I ask you the question again, do you allow yourself to play? Do you allow yourself to have fun, or do you need alcohol in order to get to that place where you're playing and when you're having fun and you're letting loose? So it becomes this question, this really, really important question that we need to ask ourselves, which is, do you allow yourself to play without some type of outside motivation, right? And that's a really important question to ask, because that's most of the time why people drink, is because they want to let loose. They want to have fun. And I understand it. I've not sworn off alcohol. I may be a cancer survivor, but alcohol is very much part of my upbringing and my heritage. So I still drink, but I don't drink as often, nowhere near, as I used to. And what I'm finding is that there are so many opportunities for play that do not need to be alcohol infused. And you can really, really enjoy yourself, and you can have that fun. You can break out in a dance party. When was the last time that you broke out in a dance party, especially by yourself? Where you busted a move as if you were at the bar with your girlfriends. And I'm not just talking about flicking your hands back and forth I'm enjoying this, loving the music, or you're bobbing your head. I'm talking about full on busting a move, having a blast. That sort of stuff. And so I think it's so important that we start to search in this idea of play, in pleasure, in burning brightly, in being big. Some of the things that we equate to pleasure would be, watching a movie and having snacks. Okay, well, it is pleasure, yes. But is it feeding your soul per se? Or is that a form of numbing? And, that's the question that you have to ask yourself. How can you feed your soul? And some people like to take up ballroom dancing, and they like to take up exercise classes and all of these sorts of things. And I'm not saying that those aren't excellent things. They are, but they are also not play. The wonderment of a child is somebody who plays, who imagines, envisions, is erratic, and doesn't think about, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. They just bust a move because it's fun. They slide down the hill. They go picking daisies in the ditch because it's fun. Or we did anyway. I'm from a farm originally, so I guess that's why. But they created forts in their minds and just played. The other day, the reason that I wanted to talk about this subject was the other day I was sitting with some friends, and I said, there's a snow hill outside my house, and I said, I really wish I had some kids so that I could go down this snow hill because it sounds like fun. And the friend that I was with asked me, she's like, why do you need kids? If you want to go down the snow hill, just go do it. And that's why we have tribes, to remind us of the places where we have blind spots. And yes, that snow hill, I don't need kids. I can go play on that snow hill whenever I want because I'm an adult and I can choose. And that's the thing I always say too, whenever I'm doing something that isn't quote unquote adult. I usually say that, I'm an adult and I can choose. And that's just it. You're an adult and you can choose. If you're listening to this, chances are you are an adult and you can choose. Just pick. Find something that you used to love when you were a kid. What brings you joy? And this is an excellent practice to do, is to write a list of things that bring you joy, that make you feel good. I myself started writing a list. So I'm going to pull it out here. What do I got here? So some of these are play. Some of these are adult play. They're a little bit of everything, but they're pleasure, they're everything. So a few of them that I've got here is baths, live music, dancing, dressing up, coffee shops, being by water, fine dining, theater, documentaries, paint nights. That's a good one. Yoga, meditations, learning about food, cooking, all of these different things, massages. I love all of these things, and they bring me so much joy. And they can all be so much fun if you let them be. If you let them be a sensational experience, which is the very, very definition of pleasure and sensuality. To be in a place of sensations, where you can enjoy and have fun, play with different foods, put them together, test, dance, play music while you do it, have fun, and enjoy. Paint nights. I love paint nights. They're so much fun. And for those of you who don't know what a paint night is, it's where a bunch of adults get together and paint canvases with a head teacher kind of teaching you how to do some of those things, and they're fun. One that I haven't written down is I love pottery painting. Just getting a bunch of colors and a bunch of paintbrushes and painting pottery. I'm going to write that down right after this. It is so much fun. It's so creative and enjoyable. So the next time that you're thinking, I should really do this thing, let's put the shoulds down. And if you want to read a fantasy novel, you want to learn about Harry Potter and all these sorts of things and enjoy that as opposed to a self-help book, then put the self-help book down and enjoy the magical world of this book that's going to take you to this place of enjoyment. And better yet, dress up. Dress up as a magical wizard. Nobody's there. Who cares? Just enjoy yourself. Have fun, right? I love dressing up. I love dressing up for events that are fueled by morale and excitement. So in our small town, at the local bar, whenever they play bingo, they often will do like a themed night where if you show up dressed up, they'll give you a gift certificate. And that's just so much fun to do. It's so much fun to completely dress up and just go and be silly. But so many of us hold that back. We don't dress up because we're serious. We're business people. We're moms. We're this, we're that. And then, as long as you get enough alcohol in you, then you'll allow yourself to play. But why not skip the booze and allow yourself to play? Some of the most beautiful women that I follow right now are doing things like wild hearts and healing circles and all these sorts of things. And they start off most of their workshops with making the women who just got there dance. Swing their arms, close their eyes, and dance. And that's so uncomfortable for so many people. I myself have joined in on things where they made us dance, and it was so uncomfortable. What's everybody thinking? What's everybody seeing? Am I doing it right? Do I look ethereal enough? All these questions that you ask yourself. And the trick is to close your eyes, pretend they're not there, and just dance. Dance in a way that makes you feel good. Allow yourself to let loose. You don't need some, sort of event to do that. You don't need a group coaxing you to do that, especially when you're alone. Nobody's there but you, my friend. You can enjoy and you can be and do whatever you want to do. And, if you're really concerned, close your windows or your blinds so that nobody can see. But learn to play again. And the more that you can really fall into this, the better. Even if that's, when I was a kid, I used to make up playing with Barbies, Barbie married Ken, and they got in their little pink convertible and they drove away and all these sorts of things. Yes, I was one of those spoiled kids with a pink convertible for my Barbies. Now that's out of the way. But having that imagination, it was fun. And that's why adults do theater still. And that's why adults do comedy and improv and all these sorts of things, because imagination is fun. So beginning to release this need for being this serious adult with all of our responsibilities, all that shit. Release it, especially when you're alone. Allow yourself that time to play. It's okay. And better yet, if you have kids, then allow yourself to play with them, because you can learn how to play again when you watch a child. They giggle and they laugh and they think it's so much fun, and they're not thinking about when supper needs to be made and nothing like that. They're just enthralled in their story that they're telling in their head about how the T-Rex is smashing the city or whatever, which just happens to be a couple Lego blocks, but they can see that in their head. And it's okay to allow yourself to play. You might be surprised how much more you enjoy it. I've never been big on playing with kids. That's never really been my jam until I started letting myself play. And then when I actually let myself play, build that fort with kids, I found it was such a different vibe to just have fun. And when I started doing this practice, I started seeing that there was these pieces of myself that I had been missing for 10, 20 years. This fun, freedom, and goofiness that kids can bring out in you. So if you have children in your life, play with them. Not just, appeasing them. Actually play. Do a fort. Forts are fun. Forts are so much fun. So I want you to consider that today. When you can start to move into a place of play and you can start to let that creativity come out, then life becomes magical again. And when you're in a space with people and with friends, release the fear of being boastful or too bright or too big and allow yourself to play. You might just make it safe for another person in the room who has not had an opportunity for play in so long. They see your enjoyment and you become magnetic, and they want to see what you're seeing. And sure, you might polarize some people who aren't interested in learning that side of themselves, or who are scared that they will never be able to see what you see. Or allow what you allow, so they react in jealousy and anger. That may happen. But you're probably not really worth your time if that's the case. But allowing yourself to go to these things and putting in these joy pieces back into your life, I think is so, so important. The reason I wrote my joys list, and I highly encourage you to do the same, is because so often we follow this kind of adult rhetoric that we have always followed. Monday to Friday, we work hard and we eat our salads and we do the things that we should do, and we do our exercises, and then the weekend comes and that's when we get a chance to relax, and a good portion of us drink. I used to be part of it, and we release into that, and that becomes life. But what if you threw in a fun breakfast supper in the middle of your week, or you just played with ingredients and had a blast making a new creation that may or may not turn out. And then perhaps one night you decide to go exploring, and you go and explore the cluster of trees by your house, and you go and check that out. And then maybe during the week when you're doing your tasks or whatever it is, you dance and you have some fun. What you might find is that when the weekend shows up, there's not as much of a need to just fall into the couch and watch that Netflix, which again, I'm never against Netflix. There's a time and a place for Netflix. But what I am saying is that you might find that when the weekend comes, you feel a little easier, a little chill, a little bit more relaxed, and there's less need for that woof, and a little bit more energy because you had more fun that week. We as adults are not meant to be serious all the time. Life is meant to be fun. It's meant to be extraordinary. So this is just one aspect of extraordinary. So my hope for you is that today you find an opportunity for play, and not just, the adult coloring book version of play, actual play. I want you to have fun. So all my love, I hope this was illuminating, and I will finish with just reminding you that the Embody You course is open for business at the early bird pricing up until February 15th, in which case it will slowly go up after that until the start date of February 28th. But all the information can be found on my website. And feel free to follow me on Instagram at live.free.wellness. All my love, you guys. Thank you so much for listening. If you found expansion with this last episode, then that means that others will too. And the best way to get the word out about the podcast is by leaving a review. I would be so grateful if you could leave me a review and let me know how you felt about the podcast. Included in the show notes will be everything that we talked about today, including all of my transformative programs. Change is just on the horizon, my friend.